So far, we've learned well quite a bit about CSS. Well, there's a lot more to it, but since you're new, so we've learned to create what is called classes. And let's take just a quick look at the code. Scroll to the top, and you see here we go. We got our three classes, right? Remember opening, closing, and we see them also defined up here as well. Now there are different ways to apply CSS to your pages. This is just one way. Let's look at another way now, and we're going to do that by going into let's go to curve. No, we'll go to all. Doesn't really matter actually, but I want to say let's create a new CSS rule. So I click that, and we're going to do something called we're going to select selector type tag. Now, it says right here, redefines the look of a specific tag. What's really cool is that you can now select a tag and then create some CSS so that affects the whatever happens, whenever that tag appears, it automatically affects that tag. So if you recall in our previous rules, we had created a para rule so we could apply it to our paragraphs. So instead of having to apply this class to all our paragraphs, we can create a tag CSS rule that affects all paragraphs automatically, so we don't even have to bother to do that. Again, if along the way if anything doesn't make sense, don't worry about it, just go with it. In time you'll learn how to do it. Anyhow, so we've created a selector type. We say we want a tag style CSS. We're going to affect the p tag, which is the paragraph tag, and we're going to define it in this document only. So I hit OK, and we see this thing that we're so used to. So let's go to box, and let's give it left hand side value of 25, and then we're going to go and do something interesting. We're going to go and let's give it a background. Now, what you can do is you can automatically give it a background color. So I'm going to give it a nice light gray background color. Hit apply. You see what's happening here? So let's go OK. So all of a sudden, any text that's inside of a paragraph tag, see, paragraph, this is a paragraph, right? P, well, let me just open this up. See, P, anything that's in a paragraph will all of a sudden get the it gets this style's CSS stuff applied to it. Just to make my point clear, let's remove the let's remove actually, let's go right here. So let's remove the para class. How do you do that? You select whatever item you want to remove the style information from. You select this and you go none. Strangely though, you see it still has style information applied to it. Why? Because of this new rule we created, the p paragraph class rule that applies to any paragraphs in our pages. So here's another example again where understanding tags plays a big role. So this also has the background gray because it has the class header small applied to it, but it's also a paragraph. Now, this brings us to another important rule. You can apply multiple CSS rules to the same element, and they may conflict, and CSS has a way to override each other, and we'll get into that at a later point perhaps. But I just want you to understand, what you want to take away is that you can apply multiple styles to one particular element on your page. An element, again, it could be a paragraph tag, it could be a list tag, it could be just a one letter even, doesn't really matter. It could be an image. You know what, now that we're at it, let's see, we selected our image, and you look under class down here in the properties, you see that we have the option of the class. Now, a lot of these classes that we created will not be applicable to the image because it has to do with text, right? So maybe we should create our own special style, our own special class for images. Or better yet, let's create a style that applies to images automatically. So let's do that. Let's go and we'll hit new CSS rule again. And we're going to say redefine tag. And then we're going to choose image. So we got to scroll down. Image, img. So again, this assumes that you have to know a little bit of HTML. This is the tag for images. This document only, I go OK. So this is going to automatically apply to all images. Now, of course, font and weight and variant won't do anything because this has to do with fonts. But background might, but that's not perfect for us. So what we want to get into actually is margins. So this is cool. Now, you see this checked off, same for all sizes. This allows us to not have to type in the same thing over again. So what I want to do is I want to give a margin of 25 pixels. I'll do 20 for images. So automatically images, I have to save this, hold on. Automatically images will have a 25 pixel border. So we go here, here it is, right? Let's edit that. See, 20 pixel border rather, automatically around our images. This looks kind of ugly, so let's go back and change our paragraph. And let's say the background color is just white for now. There we go. So let's save that. You notice how the text is now wrapping more because the image has a much bigger border. Let's give it an even bigger border for the sake of our video. Now you see how big the margin, everything's being pushed over. Let's F12 that, preview. Now we have a big margin around our image. It's a little bit too big, so let's reduce it. So we go into our images, edit, and let's just give it a nice value of 10. I like 10. Save that, preview, and there we go. So we got our border so the image doesn't get squished up on the text, but we can really control that in a fine-tuned way, right down to the pixel. We can give this a one pixel border if we want. We can make, let's do something. Let's do this. Let's say the bottom we want a big one. Let's say we want not auto. Let's say we want 100. Crazy. So we go 100. Apply. Now we save that. Let's take a look. You notice now how, let me just get this into the video screen here. You notice how the image now pushes this down quite a bit. Now, this may not be obvious to you guys right now. Hold on. But I'll make it obvious in about 2 seconds. There we go. So let's make this obvious. Let's push it down. Image. Let's go to current. See, I hit current. So Dreamweaver is smart and knows that we've this image has the image property attached to it. So let's get margin bottom. Let's give it 300. Hit enter. Hit save. F12 preview. So you can see it's really pushing down stuff quite a bit. The CSS is now allowing us versus this. So it's pushing the image over. This may not be intuitive to you looking at this. And why is it shifting over? And the reason it's shifting over is because we're pushing, imagine there's a margin here and it's pushing down and then it pushes this back over here. CSS, when it comes to laying out pages in a big way, can get pretty complex and tricky. But I'm going to show you rather, a way around this in future videos.